5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey everyone, today I'm going to cover something that most adults have experienced in their lifetime, and that is cats, dogs, raccoons getting into your trash cans, spreading all around your yard, squirrels, mice, rats in your attic, causing havoc, chewing through wires, or even bad neighbors or people infringing on your property. True story, back when I was in college, one of my best friends had an apartment with a backyard, and he upset his neighbor, and the neighbor proceeded to poop over the fence into the backyard. Now, we used a beer-fueled stakeout to catch him, and a fight ensued, and my friend nearly got arrested and went to jail. So what I'm trying to get to is there are times when people can use a remote camera to capture some of these events and mitigate the issues that they cause, right? So today we're going to build a DIY portable security camera for $50 to $60 with parts you can easily buy. It's weatherproof. It'll notify you practically real time within a couple seconds of the event via your Wi-Fi network at your house. And it will also store data on a micro SD card in case you're out of range of the Wi-Fi network. Totally portable, totally weatherproof, and we're going to build it today. So here's the time of the video where I ask you to like, share, and subscribe to help out my channel. I appreciate it. Hey everyone, I'm pretty stoked right now. I'm really excited to get this build underway. I just received the parts from Amazon. Okay, let's do this. Let's open them up. Package this a little better. I got screws coming out everywhere. So we do have the gasket. We have our extra 2 screws, and we got these 2 screws here. Don't like the way it was packaged, but as long as it works, right? So we're gonna set that aside for now. Let's get into it. It's so exciting to get new stuff in for projects. I love receiving parts. Here's our WiseCam OG. Now this is IP65 rated, as is this, which is going to give us our waterproof form factor. So I have a couple of these around the house, and they're really nice. They're about 25 bucks, cheap as dirt, and they work really well. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get this set up to my home network. So that will allow me to use it anywhere inside the house or outside on the perimeter of the house in the yard. If I have issues that I want to watch, or in the attic. And also, we're going to put an SD card in there, so if it isn't connected to the network, it's constantly recording on a loop, right? The bigger the card that you use, the more time you're going to get on loop. So I almost forgot, because this didn't get delivered today. I've had this for about 6 weeks. I got it from my recent trip overseas. So what this is a 20,000 milliamp hour battery pack, 74 watt hours, I believe. And the reason I'm using this is because the USB output is 4.5 to 5 amps. We need to make sure that the power pack that you use has enough amperage to drive the camera. So let's go ahead and get the camera set up for my network. It's got this little waterproof sleeve on it, and it is a micro USB, so you need to be kind of careful the way it goes in. Don't just jam it in there. It's keyed by the shape, so make sure you're putting the beveled side to the beveled side inside this adapter. Plug our wall wart in, let's begin to it. I heard a click, so it's got power.
Ready to connect.
So it's ready to connect. You're supposed to wait about 30 seconds until the red light flashes. We got our flashing red light, and then you hit setup. There's a little setup button on the bottom.
Ready to connect.
Then we go to our Wise app. Go to Add Device, Cameras, WiseCam OG. The next button, because we got our flashing red light, it says ready to connect. Tick that box, begin setup. It's going to search for the device. I'm going to select my network, put my password in. Some of y'all I trust, some I don't, so don't be looking.
Wi-Fi connected.
All right, so we're connected to the Wi-Fi.
Setup complete.
Now I'm going to name it. So I'm going to name this Stealth. Go for something kind of cool, right? And then it's going to ask you to enhance your camera with Cam Plus. I have Cam Plus on one of my cameras, and that's the one at the front door. But the other ones, I don't really need it. And we're going to go with the basic plan, which is $0 a month. Share device. This is pretty interesting. I actually used this in the past. You can share the device with people via a link. So they can't operate it, they can't make any changes to it, they can only view it. You can either share the device now or you hit maybe later. So we'll do maybe later. Watch Cam emoji setup complete. Firmware update required.
Firmware upgraded successfully.
All done, your update went great. You hit done. I got Stealth Cam listed. I got all my other ones here. Pool, front door, backyard, east side of the house, blah, blah, blah. Stealth Cam. That's a good picture of my gut right there. Camera is all set up on my home network, so that's great. Next thing we're going to do is put an SD card in. So in case I use this at a neighbor's house, out in the woods, wherever you want to take this thing, it'll record to the SD card if my Wi-Fi access point's not within range. So that's a good feature to have. So let's go ahead and exit out of this. So we're going to put that SD card in, we're going to format it so it's ready to go, and then we're going to hook it up to the battery pack and make sure it works. This goes back to one of my mantras, right? Whenever you get equipment in, test it out, make sure everything works before you go and build something really elaborate. Make sure that the guts and the internal components and the important components that you just bought, that you just received, actually work. In case they don't work, you can send them back and they're still in the warranty period or the return period, so that's very important. What I'm using, it says to use a class 10. You can use exFAT up to 256 gigabyte, or you can use FAT32 formatted cards up to 32, I believe. Now, obviously, the larger the card, the longer the recording time. Probably okay. Okay, we'll close the weatherproof door. They're still working, and then I think there's an option in there to format the card. It's always good to let the camera format it versus your computer, because you never know, sometimes they can be a little finicky when they format. So let's go ahead and pull out our battery pack. We're going to use the USB, either one. Let's go with one. Why not? Maybe 100% on the battery pack. We've got our camera booting up. Now let's go ahead and get on there and load it up. So we're running on the battery pack, and you can see working just fine. So let's go ahead now and build the rest. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the gasket in. Most of the time these tend to be a little short. If you put it in just as it is, it'll probably come up a little short like that. See, so what I generally do is I'll take it, I'll back it out, and I'll put it in, start at one end, butt it up against the end there, and I'll go backwards and almost got it, it's going to roll out of there. Just twist it a little bit. There it goes. Okay, so we got that in. I'm going to set it aside along with the screws I'm going to put in there so I don't lose them or knock them off the bench. Let's go ahead and get to it. Whenever I get items that are shipped in this foam, this isn't like your flimsy foam. This is a cellulose kind of foam, which is really nice. You know, it doesn't crack, doesn't break. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually, we don't want this bouncing around in here, right? Something will break. Either the leads will break, you know, it'll smash up against this and it'll put stress on these. We don't want to do that. So what we want to do is we want to pack this in kind of tight. So I save a lot of this stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this to size. Seat this in here, and I'm going to pack it in all sides, so this thing is going to be sandwiched in here nice and tight. So I've made a lot of cuts. Where we're at is I have the entire bottom filled up with foam, so it's not going to go anywhere down. I've got these two pieces put on the sides. That's going to keep it from going side to side. Now you notice there is a little bit of slack in here this way. So what I'm going to do is put 2 spacers in here. Now on the front of this, you can see we're going to be using this port to power the camera and this port to recharge the battery pack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this one up. I'm going to put this in here like this. And then the other piece I'm going to put right here in between those two. So what it's going to allow me to do is run a cord out of here, and it's going to keep this from sliding forward. Then I will have a piece on the back side to keep it. I'm going to cut this still, but that'll keep this from sliding back and forth sideways. And then to take up the gap at the top, I have another piece that I will be laying on top. You could use anything that you can fill these spaces with. You could use, paper towels. You could use rags. You could use anything, packing peanuts. Anything you have on hand that is used to pack. So as you can see, I have the foam inserts all in there. The battery pack is nice and snug. It's not going anywhere, especially when I put the top layer of foam on and then I screw the top on. Should be nice and tight. What I've done is I've laid out the cables just to kind of get an idea of where I want to drill my holes. So I have my USB-A to a micro USB, which I'm going to power the camera with. That's going to come out right here, and I'm going to put it lower in the box just in case there's some leakage. I want it to go into the bottom and not to the top area where the battery pack is. And as with most projects, you can plan them out as best as you can, but inevitably when you're building them, you're going to come across something you think you may be able to do better, an improvement that you can make or something that you want to change. Now I just realized that what I was going to do is I was going to coil this up outside. I was going to penetrate the box here, my USB-C to USB-C that I'm going to use to charge the battery pack. I was going to penetrate the wall and bring it out, coil it up, and then put like a baggie over it or something. I'm not real confident in, that being waterproof enough. I don't want moisture to get in here and ruin it, short something out. So what I'm going to do is coil this up inside, so it's always with the unit and available. So when the battery does run down low or out, I will just bring it in, take the 4 screws out, plug this into the wall and charge it back up. They do make USB-C to USB-C waterproof cables. They're about 30 bucks. I'm not going to spend that money because like I said, I'm going to use it overnight, maybe for a day and a half, at the most. So I don't foresee any situation where I would need to spend that extra $30. You can do it if you want. And in that case, just bring it out here, coil it up, put a little base on here that you can tie wrap it to or something. So as you can see, I have my penetration into the box for my USB-A to micro USB to power the camera. I have my USB-C to USB-C charging cable for the battery pack coiled up inside. And now I'm going to seal up the penetration with the silicone. And then I'm going to affix the camera to the top and put the top on. And then, okay, so we almost have a finished product. I have the battery pack sealed inside, top screwed on. I have the camera mounted on top. Now I would not screw the base into the actual enclosure. What I did is I put 4 dabs of silicone on it, so I can always peel it off if I want to later. But you don't want to make extra penetrations into the box if you don't have to. So the only thing I have left to do is to silicone the penetration here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a tie wrap base on the back here and tie wrap this so it doesn't get snagged on anything. And then to turn the camera on and off, all I have to do is disconnect this or connect it. So just to show you that it is in fact working, I have it pulled up on my phone. Let's go ahead and get it. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah, that's in my garage. I got stuff stored out here or whatever. Okay, so as you can see, I did do some cable routing here, finished that, and I put this outside at about 11 p.m. onto the pool deck. So it did see some weather. It was actually raining at the time, which is good. So I left it out there all night long, and in the morning I woke up, everything was coated with water and condensation. It worked through the night. I took some screen caps, I'll show you, and I moved it around to a couple different locations to show you. I put it on my roof. I put it in some bushes in the front yard facing down the street, just to give you an idea of how this can actually be utilized once you make it. So now for the power efficiency, we're going to crack it open, see how much power it used over a 10-hour period, and then estimate what we'd get out of it if we just ran it nonstop until the battery pack died. So let's crack it open. Okay, so at the 10-hour point, you can see we're at 84%. Now, seeing that I only used 16% of the battery capacity over a 10-hour period, that tells me that the power that the camera draws under normal circumstances actually fluctuates. Now, I got all of my notifications real time. I got them all through the night. I looked at my phone in the morning, and I had gotten notifications all night in regards to sound alerts, motion alerts. So everything was working as it should, and I got nice, clear, crisp video stills, and the camera was working in the morning. So everything was working as intended. So given all those facts, I did the math, and I could expect 2.5 days out of normal use. Now, I wouldn't really count on that. I would check it prior to that point, because there are variables that can come into play with the life of the battery. It can get hot. If you leave it out in the sun, I'm sure that will take its toll on the battery and affect the battery life. How much motion and how many stills it captures and transmits to you via the Wi-Fi. So 2.5 days max, theoretically, but I would keep it under that just to be safe. I would check it after a day, day and a half. Maybe stretch it to 2 days if you were gone for a weekend or something. I think that would be fine. But yeah, it surpassed my expectations. It shows the power consumption on this thing is really on point with their rationing of the power. I really like it, and I'm happy with this thing. So this is a fun little project, and I enjoyed getting back in the saddle and making some videos for y'all, building a nice little project. And like I said, this is cheap, it's easy to build, and it has a lot of utility. It far exceeded my expectations as far as the power draw, and the camera itself exceeded my expectations too. I have 2 of these, and they're really great for the price point. They will alert you almost real time, within seconds, to sound, to movement, and you can almost infinitely adjust it. It'll have geofencing, so you can actually adjust where you want the motion alerts to take place. So you can omit bushes, trees, anything that the wind might affect, and cause this to send you a notification, and you can just have it focus, say, on a walkway or a patio or something like that. So that's really nice. And remember, this is kind of dual purpose too. You can use it outside in any kind of weather. You can use it inside on a shelf, a bookshelf or what have you. And also, if you're not using the camera, you can take out the battery pack, and I use it every day in my backpack for work so I can recharge my phone. So then when you want to use the camera, you just take it out of your storage, your purse, your backpack, whatever, fill it up, slap it in here, and you're good to go for about 2.5 days. It's amazing. So anyways, I'll put the links to all of the parts that I used below in the comment section. And if you want more details on the poop story, it's really pretty funny. Feel free to ask in the comments. I'll do my best to get back to everybody. So thanks for watching. It's great to be back, and we'll see you next time.